Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Stupidity and ineptitude in government can sometimes be amusing. Often it isn't because we're the ones who suffer from this ineptitude. But in this particular case, it's not. It's the government that's suffering because they've made themselves look like complete knobs. There was a plan, and Rishi Sunak came up with a plan. Well, it wasn't his original idea, but he was the one who's going to implement it and then abandon it when he found out he couldn't. But Labour said, no, that's a brilliant plan. Let's do it. Oh, let's go and do it. And that plan was to ban smoking. Now, not ban it outright, because if you were going to ban it outright, you just ban it outright, wouldn't you? And that would be quite legal. To ban it outright would be perfectly legal. Except for one thing, of course, and that's ka-ching. They need the money. However, the plan is that you ban it for people who are aged 17. And then you raise the age at which you're allowed to smoke by 1 year every year, meaning anyone who's 17 now will never be old enough to be able to smoke. That was a great plan. That was a super plan. And it does a long-term stretch out. So you got the income from smoking for many, many years. You can develop your economy slowly over time to account for that. You'd think generally that would be a great idea. The only problem is Britain is incapable of saying, no, Northern Ireland is ours, EU, sod off. And so you have this strange thing that in order to get Brexit through, a strange Brexit done by people who didn't really want Brexit to happen, you've got this strange thing where Northern Ireland is part of the EU in terms of allowing certain products to be sold. The border is in the North Sea. This is how they've done this. It's stupid. What they should have just said is, no, keep your hands off. No, that's part of the United Kingdom. You can do what you like. We don't care. And if you want to try and put a border up, that'll be you breaching the Good Friday Agreement, not us. And you could have got around it. But, oh no, we've got to have a deal. We've got to kiss arse and all that bollocks that went on. Anyway, it means because of it, there's this major problem. Banning smoking in that term where you raise it each year actually violates EU law. Now you think, well, we're not in the EU. No, we're not. But, and here's the thing, Northern Ireland is. It comes under that EU law for those purposes. Now, why is this a problem? Well, it's a problem because other EU law means that we can't ban it in Northern Ireland unless we ban it in. Sorry, you can't ban it in England and Wales and Scotland unless you ban it in Northern Ireland because, hey. But also, it means that if you do ban it in Northern Ireland, you're breaching EU law, and the EU can then sue Britain for breach of that law. It's a genius move, isn't it? So Wes Streeting's tobacco and vapes bill that's going through is going to immediately have to be cancelled because the moment he tries to bring it in, he'll be sued for breaching the law, even though it's EU law, not British law. But because stupid governments have done this, it's great. Under the directive known as TPD2, and here we go. This is where you get to the dry bits of law. It says, member states may not prohibit or restrict the placing on the market of tobacco or related products which comply with this directive. The Irish government has too admitted that it cannot pursue a smoke-free generation policy, as has been suggested in other jurisdictions, due to the EU's single market rules and the Tobacco Products Directive. And now, of course, the government's former Brexit lawyer and prominent EU law specialist, Jason Koppel KC, has weighed in, and he said that it is the equivalent, in effect, to an absolute ban on the sale of tobacco products, but a ban which is introduced very slowly and with an extent which increases each and every day. And if that analysis is correct, then this bill, if enacted, would likely contravene TPD2, regardless of whether they can be established by a government to be proportionate restriction in the interests of health. And this is why Denmark and Ireland both tried to bring in this law and then both cancelled it because they realised they couldn't. It would have the generational smoking ban breaches EU law. Koppel also raises the possibility that Streeting's bill could violate the ECHR. So there we go. Article 8, the right to respect for private life, and it's Article 1 of the Protocol number 1, the right to peaceful enjoyment of possession. So if you own cigarettes, then you have the right under the ECHR, the European Convention of Human Rights, to smoke them. Isn't that weird? Look, so far, the Labour Party have refused to comment on any of this. They can't breach the EU law. They can't breach the European Convention on Human Rights on Article 8, nor can they breach it on Article 1. So, boom, the geniuses running our country basically are bringing in laws without understanding the full implication of those laws. And, of course, the most important law of all, the law of unintended consequences. Well, it's great, isn't it? Who would have thought it? Who'd have thought we have a government made up of morons who don't know what they're doing? Please, sir, me, sir. It's weird. You can bring in a complete and utter ban, but you can't bring in a generational ban. So what's Labour to do? Are they going to bring in a complete and utter ban, which would be a field day for the smugglers? Or are they just going to abandon the whole plan and go, you know what, it's too hard, let's not bother, let someone else do it later, because, we don't have the talent to do it. It's a tough call, isn't it? We all know. They'll abandon it. Of course they'll abandon it. Now, Australia tried to... No, sorry, not Australia. I lie. New Zealand tried to bring in the generational ban, didn't they? Said, we're going to do this. This was under the mad lefty woman. And basically they tried it, they looked at it, and they abandoned that as well. They've abandoned it. It's too hard. It's unpoliceable, basically. It's unpoliceable. I was in Australia once, and they were very, very anti-smoking. There are smoking areas, but by God, you have to go around the back. It's very dingy. And where was I now? We were in California. And California, anti-smoking like hell, right? Anti-smoking everywhere. Boom, 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 boom. But we went across the state lines, and we were in Arizona, and we were smoking in the bars in Arizona. Virtually can't smoke at all in California. Go across that. Bah, 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 bah. It was great. I don't smoke now. I haven't smoked for, 10 years. Hardest thing I ever did was giving up cigarettes. Gonna die, crawling the walls. I used to go to work, get in the car, first thing, cigarette. And it was 3 cigarettes to work. Driving, 3 cigarettes to work. Smoked all day. Happiness was an empty in tray, an empty out tray, and a full ashtray. I was 40 a day, man. A, I couldn't afford it now. And B, my lungs couldn't take it. I'm never going back, but what do you do? Anyway, a little bit about me smoking in it. So thanks very much. There we go. Another law doomed to die because of morons. Thanks very much.